Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are viewing Wisdom Wednesday podcast because we are global. Here it is, the last Wednesday of April. Today is April the 27th, 2022. And as you know, the month of April has been designated as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And I am so honored that I have my special guest on today, Stacey Johnson. And I'll tell the audience a little bit more about this wonderful woman. I met her through a mutual friend and seemed like we've been connected ever since. I like her spirit. I like what she has to offer to the audience. So you know the drill. Grab your coffee or your tea, your orange juice, or your water, and join in on this wonderful, serious conversation. Welcome, Stacey. How are you this morning?
Very good. And you?
Great. Let me tell the audience a little bit more about this phenomenal woman. Stacey Shannon Johnson has been writing professionally since December 2011. She launched her company, Stacey J Production LLC, soon after retiring from the Inkster Police Department as a road patrol and community relations officer. Thank you for your service too, Stacey.
Thank you.
She has written plays with topics such as teen pregnancy, juvenile delinquency, Alzheimer's, and more recently, human trafficking. She considered herself an artist with a cause. She attended Martin Luther King High School, where she fell in love with theater. She learned how to write plays through a weekend playwright guild, DPS partner, program with the Attic Theater at the age of 14.
Yes.
She intends to tackle thought provoking issues that plague many in our native home of Detroit, Michigan. While she is not writing, she enjoys her husband, two children, and a cat, along with cooking, traveling, kayaking, swimming, cycling, and jogging. She is a public speaker and enjoys sounding the alarm about the dangerous lure of human trafficking and cyber safety within school districts, churches, and various organizations. She is a breast cancer survivor and living life with no regrets. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. I love it. Again, officially welcome, Stacey.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Yes. Good
you
morning.
know, yes, good morning. I tell you, it's so important to let people know that this sex trafficking is happening in our community right up under our own nose. And so I just want to get right into the conversation. Tell me, how did you get involved with? I know you were Inkster Police. Again, thank you for your services.
Thank
But
you.
what prompted you to get into this in this arena,
And,
sex trafficking?
yeah, I started writing a play back in 2016. I knew about maybe 2 or 3 years in advance. This was a topic that was burning on my heart, and that's the Lord had just put that on my heart heavily to write about, and I began to reach out to someone in my church, and she had some extensive knowledge in training in trafficking and counseling and different things like that. So it gave me so much information. She emailed a lot of information and told me exactly where the conferences were, and I began to. I think I researched for about 7 to 9 months, or about maybe 9 months to a year, I would say, and
Mm-hmm.
before writing the script. And I want to tell you this, and this is what I tell people all the time. Even as an officer, we just did not get a lot of training in sex trafficking. If we did, I don't remember it. And quite interesting, if you've ever been to Inkster, there are motels on both the north and south side of Michigan in that small. It's only 6.4 square miles, so there's a lot of prostitution. And
Mm-hmm.
but I did not get a lot of training about trafficking. And I always remember the young lady that I serviced at at a hospital. She was in the emergency room, and I was dispatched there to help her and to
Yeah.
take a report. And I
Mhm.
just didn't know the right questions to ask. And I do believe to this day that she was a minor that was being
Mhm.
trafficked. She was sexually and physically assaulted. Sometimes officers, if I can be transparent with you, Dr. Seekers, we could be very what were jaded.
Mhm.
And if I can be very transparent, and
Yeah.
over time, if we're not careful, I'm quite sure was jaded. I probably was hungry and ready to go on my break. And if you're not going to talk, if you're not going to give me the information that I need, then I'm just going to write down, the information that you give me, and I'm on my way. But
Mm.
again, at that time, it just wasn't something that the department, or that there was always a lot of training, but I
Right.
don't remember a lot of training in that area. So
Wow.
that's a young lady I pray for often that I will never forget,
Yes.
and that may
Stacey,
be
let
the
me ask.
catalyst of why I do what I do too. So yeah,
Yeah, isn't that she tugged at your heart, and
yes.
God said,
Years
I'm
later,
allowing
years
you
later,
to. Yes, isn't that
yeah,
something?
yes.
Is it just women, or is it also men or young boys and young girls are involved in this sex trafficking?
Yes, young girls, young boys, women, and men. You don't have to be under the age of 18 to be a victim of sex trafficking. Unfortunately, we've had cases of elderly people as old as, I want to say, 84 or 86, and as
Oh my.
young as 6 days old. And so it is. I mean, we have over 100,000 children in the United States and counting, that are being trafficked. Um, Sometimes children are trafficked by relatives. We deal with that in
Mm,
our player dream deferred. That that's a large gateway how young people end up in trafficking. 95% of people that end up in trafficking ended up there they knew their trafficker was someone that they knew. Maybe they met online, met at the mall,
mm,
met, maybe while traveling. And
yes.
yeah, a lot of online activity.
Hmm.
Definitely talking to strangers, and young girls are meeting young people at places and whatever malls, and meeting them,
Hmm.
and, and get caught up in the world of trafficking. Unfortunately, family members. And then this is something that I've been really praying about, because I was just speaking to
Hmm.
someone the other day. Our household expenses, what might have gone up $300 to $500 after the pandemic, because of
Yeah.
the rising cost of inflation, gas, utilities, and food. And we need
Hmm.
food. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We need food and
That's
different
right.
things in order to survive. But I
Wow.
can't help but to wonder,
Mm,
like sometimes a third world country, that I pray to God that people won't be desperate enough to sell their own children. What
mm,
I tell the children when I am in high schools, and I'm blessed to
hmm.
be able to go into Detroit Public Schools, has invited me in middle schools and high schools,
Great.
uh, is that you don't have to go state to state or be taken out of the country or out of your home to be trafficked.
Mm,
People can monetize off of you right in your home. Sometimes young people don't even know that they're being trafficked, because someone that's in authority over you, it can be a
mhm.
relative, parent, friend, babysitter, can allow people to come in your home and have sex with you and monetize off of you. And so that is sex trafficking,
Mm,
excuse me.
mm,
And labor trafficking falls under human trafficking as well. But when people
mm.
monetize off of you and you have no control over that, and people make money off of uh, off of you, so
Mm.
yes, that is sex trafficking. So you never have to leave the room. You never have to leave your home.
Wow.
So
That's so
yes,
disheartening. I know you
yes,
have a video that you want to display to the audience.
yes,
I think I've given control over to you. Do you mind
yes,
sharing that with us at this time?
yes. Thank you. Let's
Thank
see.
you.
More
It's
allowing
a
me to.
2 minute video
Yeah.
that will give us
And
more insight.
we
Should I?
want to also let people know that there is a trigger warning if you or someone that you know
Mhm,
has been involved in sex trafficking, being trafficked, or you or someone very close to you.
mhm.
There is a trigger warning. So you may want to turn away from the screen 2.5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, let me see if
Yeah,
I
I want to
can
want
add.
me a pizza. I want a pepperoni pizza with cheese. Matter of fact, I want extra cheese and I want the pizza to be large.
Alright, I got it nailed down between one and two, and I think I'm going to go with one. Yeah, I might go.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
Stacey, that is so just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think they describe sex trafficking as slavery,
Yes, it
and
is modern day slavery.
that is and
Yes,
our
and
own people,
now,
young.
yeah, yeah, and that's what's that's just something that people, I don't know, we're just not taking a deeper look at this, and all I can do is just continue to work. I'll be in Lansing Thursday, tomorrow, with a group of people with Survivor Speak. So I'm really looking forward to that and working with a survivor. I need to know a lot more about legislation as well, because there's so much that needs to be done. So much money in this country is allocated toward law enforcement. A lot of times, girls are charged. They may have committed crimes under duress. A lot of them do, and they're charged with drug addiction. Of course, you have to be on drugs to be with somebody 20 times a day, and several people, and being abused and raped repeatedly. You have to be on something, and but a lot of times, when girls commit crimes and they're being trafficked, our voices are not being heard, and a lot of times we are, instead of receiving therapy and recuperation and healing,
Mhm.
people are thrown into prison,
Mm.
and but that money needs to be reallocated to help survivors, because we this is it's just a vicious wheel that just keeps turning.
Yeah.
And when you're putting people in prison that really need help, and then
Mhm.
funding and housing, when people we Michigan is very proactive when it comes to stings.
Oh, good.
We're definitely up there in the top 10. Some say don't rank. We can go anywhere from number 2 to number 7,
Mhm.
because we border Canada, and we're surrounded by water. So also it's easy for people to be transported by boat and cargo areas and things like that. And we have major interstates. The 75 can take you to Miami, and 94
Yes.
can take you to San Francisco. And then
Mhm.
we have I-96. So we have, really uh, different ways to transport people.
Mm.
So Michigan is very proactive with stings and raids and things like that. But if we
Good.
don't have enough beds for people, for victims that come out of it, They're not under arrest. The victims are not under arrest. If you do a sting, you have 500 people, girls, boys, women, and men, and babies and children.
Yes.
You don't have enough beds. And when you don't have enough beds, people are homeless. Maybe they can't go home because of the guilt and shame. And
Yeah.
I talk about that a lot because I see how people will shame folks.
Mm-hmm.
From we saw the slapping at the not the Grammys but the Academy Awards, and people are still talking about it and shaming folks. And we
That's
focus
right.
so much on that as a society in this
Mm,
country, and people
yeah.
see that. And when
Yes.
we laugh at different things,
Mm,
and people are exploited who are on drugs, they
mhm.
are exploited on social media as for laughter and fodder and talked about and things like that. And imagine going home and that guilt and
Mm,
shame of being with a lot of people, the guilt and shame of being addicted and being
yes.
so
Oh
instead
my.
of going home and making a call to go home,
Mhm.
that next person sees you out with that bag. They know the look. They see you
Mm.
out there lost and they pick you up and then you get back into it. And so yeah, a lot of prayer.
Oh yes. Yeah.
We need to tackle in the world of what happens and
Mhm.
what's going on in
Wow.
that world. Yeah. Hmm.
Let me ask you this, Stacey. How
Yes.
can we as a community prevent things like that? I mean, I know my previous guest said if you see something, say something. I mean,
Yeah.
what could be some ways we can prevent it or, halt this deadly and it's just a disgrace how they
Yeah.
abuse our people.
Yeah. One of the ways is education,
Mm,
education, education, and talk to our young people
mm,
about engaging with people online and talk to them because you can be talking to somebody and be careful about sharing any kind of information. It's okay to use a nickname, not your government name on social media, and be careful about engaging with strangers because that's where it starts at in the inbox. What you doing? Hey, how you doing? You look beautiful. You look
mm,
good today. They're grooming our young people. So
mm,
that's the number one discussion is being careful or seeing someone at the mall
mm,
because traffickers know, especially if they want to recruit a young girl, that's
mhm,
where girls love to hang out is the mall. We love to shop.
mhm.
There's too many women on the planet that don't like to shop. And
That's right.
so, and they come in as Prince Charming to tell our girls, you look beautiful, to groom them, especially if a young person, they look for vulnerabilities, a
Mm,
person that has low self-esteem, a person that may have been sexually abused as like myself, or a
mm,
person that has um, maybe a housing insecurity. There was a guy that, that was on the east side.
mhm,
I forgot the name of the two major streets. It might have been like maybe near Denby or East English, one of those schools in that area,
mhm,
where he had 10 women. It was a bus back in October where the feds had busted him. He had 10 women. But how he recruited them is that he offered them, he asked them if they needed a job and needed to make some money, or if they needed a place to stay. So he posed as like a benefactor, somebody that can help you out, help you with a
yeah,
place to stay, someone. And he ended up abusing girls and selling them and
mm,
making them do things at gunpoint. And so, thank God, he's in prison. But
yeah,
vulnerabilities, housing issues, mental illness, drug abuse,
mhm,
different things like that. That the vulnerable, and one of the things we don't like to talk about because trafficking affects all social economics
mhm,
and race and religion and thing. Anybody can become a victim
mm,
of sex trafficking. But
yeah,
people who are lonely, they're vulnerable as well. People who are lonely and spend a lot of time by themselves, and they're loners or maybe like to engage with people.
mm,
Um, Online, and so that's a demographic that we have to be careful of.
right,
Is that people who like to talk to people in chat rooms and
mm,
different. There are young people, and I know because someone has told me about a relative that likes to a beautiful young lady. loves to talk to people in chat rooms. That's her thing. And she's a loner. She spends a lot of time by herself, doesn't have a lot of friends. And so
Mhm.
this is comes from a very good home. Economic wise, no hardships there. But
Right.
these are the things that we have to be careful of and sound the alarm and talk about and education and to talk
Mm.
to our young people. Runaways within, as you saw in the video, within 48 to 72 hours, people that run away end up, about, I think I said a third end up
Mm.
in child pornography or
Mm.
sex trafficking. So, um, just constantly have conversation, have that open. I have two children. My children are graduating from the 8th grade this year. They're going into high school. They are on
Yes.
social media. So there's a
Mm.
lot of talks that we have to
Mm.
have, a lot of talks. My son told me, Mom, he's 6'2", very handsome. He plays basketball. But I think last year he says, Mom, somebody's asking me if I can play on their team. And he's always being recruited to play on a team. And he
Right.
said he found out through Instagram. He said, you got to ask my parents. We didn't know this
Mhm.
person. And he only
Yes.
plays for people my husband knows. And
That's
so,
right.
again, that could be a great
Mhm.
ploy. They see him,
Yeah.
he's posting up all his basketball pictures and his games and
Mhm.
things like that. And so
Mm.
that's a good way to recruit. And I'm not saying that that person was a trafficker, but I'm so
Right.
glad that, he knows to check with us before taking upon himself. Yeah.
Yes. And I
Hmm.
like how you said that we have to communicate to our young people because
Hmm.
they're still, like you said, they're vulnerable. They're still,
Yes. Hmm.
still trying to find their way. And so
Yeah.
someone out in the street say something that encourages them
Yeah.
or make
Hmm.
them feel that they're all of that. So we just have to really communicate and share with our young people. It's
Yeah.
dangerous out there. Everybody's
Yes.
not your friend.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That video always gets the students' attention. Um,
Hmm.
it always gets their attention, always. There are some children that I see that have to turn away. I do give the disclaimer before I show it. And I get
Yeah.
it because I do believe it's going on in our communities. I believe
Yeah.
it's going on in homes. And I
Mm-hmm.
just received a call. I'm waiting for somebody to follow up with me at a particular school. They think they may have a case. It happens.
Hmm.
I've heard of principals tell me that they've had
Yeah.
to rescue a young lady that was being trafficked by her stepfather. It is a reality. It's going on. Back in the day, I used to work for United Airlines. I worked in reservations, and years ago, now we're
Yeah.
talking about the late like 94, 95,
Hmm.
and uh, Thailand, I want to say Bangkok, Thailand. I believe I
Uh-huh.
want to make sure I have the right city, but I believe it's Bangkok where people would businessmen would book trips. And I remember the lady telling me, you know why a lot of them are going there, and not all of them, but she says, you
Yeah.
know why a lot of men go there. And I said, why? They said to have sex with with young children. And that was like one of the number one destinations in 1995. But now
Mhm.
America is the number one destination for Americans that seek to have sex with a child. You don't have
Mm.
to go get on an airplane. You don't have to go take a bus or a train. You don't have to go to Chicago or LA or
Mm.
Indianapolis or New York. You can go right in your own neighborhood and have sex
Jeez.
with a child in one of our communities. So
Mm. I
yes.
know that's so disheartening, I tell you,
Mhm.
because those children has been preyed on, and they could be our
Mhm.
next president or our next,
Yeah.
future leaders, and
Yeah.
then they has something happen to them like that. It's just so
Yeah.
disheartening, and it
Right.
makes me think about the Bible where it says the love of the money is,
Yes.
not the
Yeah.
money itself, but the love of
Mhm.
it, is a
That's it.
root
That's
of all evil. It
right.
just grieves my heart. I know.
Mhm. That's what it's all about is money. I
Yeah.
look at some of the cases and people that are trafficking, they're caught, and people get caught because they brag about money or they show lots of money, and on
Right.
social media somebody's gonna turn you in.
That's
And
right.
there's guys, I mean, they make a ton of money if you can use somebody 20 times a day. So drugs, and this is the difference where I talk to young people. And an educator put a workshop together for me. I just love it. It is a wonderful workshop. It's interactive. And she helped me to be able to a little bit more engaging when you're not just talking to kids, but you're getting a lot of back, and with my surveys, the students love it, where they can talk back. We do little exercises. I give out hot Takis. I give out candy. And you should see the hands going up. I have to calm them down. They go crazy. Gift cards, all kind of stuff. We have a lot of fun. I love students. I did that a lot on the police force. I was in 7 schools. So we have a lot of fun. But it's the point that I was making that just got off course right quick. It'll come back to me. I just forgot my train of thought. But I forgot my train of thought. What was I talking about? I'm sorry. I got a lot going up through my head. Okay.
No, I understand, but this subject can be so daunting that it gets you. Just get you so upset about that, and how you said parents have even sold their children for things. It just grieves my heart. If you don't want the child, there's a lot of people who would love to adopt children. So we just got to get out of that mindset that money is going to solve your problem. No, it's not.
That's thank you. Going back to the money, I got my notepad just in case I forget, because I have so much going on through my head. But he was just showing all this money, but and that's how he was caught. But and he showed that I believe they had a news clip where the new auction block is the internet. The internet is the new auction block. And just like we showed the guy in the video where he picked the girl, the one on the left and the one on the right, and that's how it is. And they they have websites, they have hundreds of they have the dark web, and they pick their victims. And this guy had wads of money because he was showing how much money he made. So you're making tons of money off of girls because you're using them over and over and over and over again. Sometimes more than one man has access to abuse. And I don't want to call it having sex. That's not having sex. That's abusing and taking advantage of somebody. But just like now with drugs, when you run out of drugs, you have to go and cook it and cut it and distribute it and bag it and things like that. There's a process, but you don't have to do that with a human being. Number one. Number two, when you're traveling through an airport with drugs, there's definitely probability that you can get caught because of canine. Same thing on a traffic stop. But if you have several girls with you and their code name for their pimp is daddy or uncle, and you stop somebody on a traffic stop, you're not going to question, is that your daughter or anything like that, or going through the airport. So they can travel and transport all over the place, and it's hard to detect, not like drugs. That's something that a canine dog could detect. So that, again, that's another way to be able to to sell our babies over and over again. Like people, I say 5% kidnappings do occur. They do, and we may want to change that from 5% maybe now to 7%. I don't know. Because we do hear about kidnappings now. Or attempted kidnappings. We had that lady that had those 3 babies in the van. We don't know what her intentions were and plans. And so we just have to be careful and vigilant about our babies. Pray over them, be vigilant, continually have those talks with them, continually tell them, don't get in the van. There's a video that a buddy of mine shared. Young lady's not here locally, but I want to say somewhere in the South, where 3 girls, guy asked them if they wanted a ride, and they said sure, and 3 girls got in, and they were gone. I want to say for 9 months they were being trafficked. I've heard of people infiltrating a PTA in Columbus, Ohio years ago. There's a lady, she survived it and has her own sex trafficking nonprofit, but a couple infiltrated the PTA and befriended everybody. They didn't even have children. They infiltrated the PTA and befriended everybody, and wanted to take the girls to New York for a cultural trip. took them to New York, said that they were going to shop and theater and all that stuff. And they took them out and they thought they were going to see a play. And they told them go back upstairs and made them change into some sultry clothing. Girls said that this is not what they came there for. This isn't what they wanted to do. And it would be years before, a few years before the girls had returned home. They were caught up and made in traffic. And so, and these people this guy was a pimp. And he had pimped his wife, and instead of her continually being prostituted, they infiltrated the school district. And the scrutiny of you have to scrutinize people. You just have to be careful. But still, people are very trustworthy with their children and letting their children spend the night and go here and be transported by this coach and that coach. And they don't ask, they don't show up at games, they don't call, they don't get numbers, no nothing. And so we still have issues in that area. Yeah, we still have issues. Yeah.
I know you mentioned a lot of time the pimp is a man, but I've seen on some news report that they even have women coaching these girls to come into this type of have you seen a lot of that in our and out there in the streets like that?
Yes, and women will probably lead the men in terms of being traffickers. Yeah, because girls will definitely trust a woman, especially if a woman is beautiful and dressed very, very nice. And if you have a young lady that doesn't have much, and she sees this beautiful, glamorous woman, and this woman is telling her, you can come with us, you can make a lot of money. And strip clubs, they go in strip clubs and tell the girls you can make a lot of money. And these girls go down to Miami and it's just one complete nightmare after another. And it's very difficult for them to find their way back home. I heard a story, a lady told me about her niece that's caught up, and she's down somewhere in Miami somewhere, and just and after that, you're on drugs and mental issues, and it's very difficult for her to find her way back home, and the guilt and the shame, and Satan can do a head job on just alone on that. So life is complicated as it is, and on top of that, you can only imagine. Yep. Yes.
Well, I've enjoyed this information. You really educated the audience, Stacey, and I see your passion and your heart for that, sounding the alarm. I love that because that's what we need to do. And if you see something, say something. And that's so important, and it may not be my biological child, but it could be somebody else's child, that we still need to do that same concern, right?
Yes.
So how can people reach out to you? I know even the churches need to be more involved in this. I know before we got on podcast, how you're a blessing that your church allow you to do that. I think even more churches, because it may even happen in the church. I hate to say that.
It did, and it has. There have been pastors down in Toledo, I believe, Ohio, that were trafficking young girls, and so it does happen. I would love to come and speak to your church youth group. I have a workshop. A workshop. I'm sorry, 1 and 2 hour workshop, and I also have cyber safety and security, and that would be for 3rd grade through 6th. And then 6th through 12th grade and adults human trafficking workshop. You can contact me at Stacey with an EYJ consulting at gmail.com. Stacey with an EYJ consulting at gmail.com. And that's the best way to contact me. And I would love to come and speak with your church. And also, if you're interested in us bringing the screenplay, A Dream Deferred, to your church or to your community organization, Girl Scouts, youth groups, school, charter school, private school, I would love to come as well. It is faith-based as well. So, yes.
Wow. Audience, reach out to this phenomenal woman, because this is a issue that we all can wrap our arms around and eliminate and prevent this from happening to our young people who are our future leaders. So again, Stacey, I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your heart and your passion and continue to do great things. And I know we can turn this thing around. We work together and pray together.
Amen. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Seegers. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Be blessed now. Have a great day.
Okay, you too.
And before I leave the podcast, I want to share with everyone, next month is Mother's Day, May, the wonderful month of May. So I'll be honoring mothers. And so make sure that I'll get connected with you, reach out to some future mothers, and so that we can just honor our mothers. That's going to be for the whole entire month of May. So look out for that information as I bring forth mothers to honor our mothers. So have a blessed day, have a blessed week, and know this: there's always some wisdom nuggets for everyday living on Wisdom Wednesday podcast with the Mary Seegers. Bye for now.